Hi players, bonjour from Geneva, my name is Asaf Hirsch and welcome to my channel Easy Board Games. Today we're going to have some fun naming my top 10 games for 2 players. Now we're going to have here a little bit of a set of rules before I'm starting this video, just to avoid a little bit of some questions later on. First of all, I haven't played all the games out there, so if you find that this listing is kind of lacking one of the games that you really like, feel free to leave a comment down below or just join the Discord and let's talk about it. Second rule for this video is that we're not going to have here any kind of cooperative games or campaign games. Well, besides maybe one game that I have over here, so you will have to forgive me about that. But other than that, we're not going to have here any kind of cooperative games. So games, even though I like playing it 2 players like Frostpunk or This War of Mine, or I don't know, Stalker, stuff like that, are not going to be on this list. And the third and final rule for this video is that the games I'm going to present you today are not only for 2 players. Some of them are actually better 2 players, at least according to what I'm thinking, or I think they surprisingly good at 2 players. So those are games that I felt like are good to mention. So let's dive into the listing of the games, and the way that I decided to rank them basically from 10 to 1 are not actually but which game I like more, are actually, in my opinion, which games were easier for me to learn. So hopefully it will be easier a little bit for you to learn. And even for that, let me know what do you think about the difficulty of learning the games that are going to be on this list. Alright, so let's start with it. And coming at number 10, that is Terrorscape. Now, Terrorscape is a hidden movement game for 2 to 4 players. One player is going to play the killer and the other player or players are actually going to play their survivors, and they're trying to escape by doing different things, either repairing the radio and calling the cops, or actually to find some keys and going away from this house. Now, the thing is that even though I feel that this game is actually better at 2, just more fluid and a little bit easier to digest, I actually think that in 4 players there is kind of a special thing when you, at least if you're playing the killer, can see how the other 3 players are actually trying to plan their escape or doing their actions without actually telling them out loud, so the killer cannot hear anything. So it's kind of a cool aspect that I appreciate with 3 or 4 players, but I do think that this game is really awesome at 2 players just because you have one player that is controlling all the 3 other survivors, which makes more sense because there's not a ton of things to do. So sometimes at 4 players, when you have 3 people playing the survivors, it feels like the other 3 players don't really have something they will be able to do together. The decision depth that we have over here is not really that big. So again, I feel that the 2 players, it's really awesome. The production value over here that we have in this game is really amazing. You'll have to excuse me, I don't have any kind of B-rolls to show you or something like that, just like 1 or 2 photos that I took with my friends when we played this game. Moving on to number 9, and that is Pagan: Fate of Roanoke. Now, I think that you already heard me talk about this game a few times over in this channel, actually in the best games in 2024, the one that I did in December last year. Pagan came into this list, and I think this is an amazing game that you're going to play at 2 players. You're going to have one player playing the witch, the other player is playing the hunter, and it's kind of a hidden identity that the hunter will try to find out who is the witch by a different set of actions and then actually try to hunt them down. The witch on the other side will try to confuse the hunter and do something, again, a set of actions, so they will be able to do a ritual and win the game. Now, even though the table presence of this game is quite nice, I actually think that this game, if you condense it a little bit, that means getting rid of the different boards that you have over there that are more of a cosmetic thingy than actual a practical, like a practical thing that you really need to have. You can really basically take those cards and go travel with it. It's a super small game if you're, again, condensing it to just the cards that you're having, and you can play it even on a bench somewhere. That is exactly what we did, me and my girlfriend, when we went to visit Italy. So we just had a little bit of free time. It was a beautiful day outside. We spread it over on a bench that we sat down. Really, you don't need the boards, and had a great time with it. I think this is actually a really super nice game for 2 players that you should check out. Moving on to number 8, and that is maybe a little bit surprising, but Hallertau by Uwe Rosenberg. First of all, this is the best game for me in the farming theme. I know all of you guys maybe prefer Caverna or Fields of Arle or something like that, but I found that Hallertau by Uwe is actually an amazing game that hits exactly the farming theme that I was looking for, and I was looking for it a lot of time. So feel free also to check out my video for top 5 farming games that I'm going to attach a link down below. It's really a sweet game, and I do think that even though it's a nice game at 3 or 4 players, I actually prefer to play it at 2 players. I feel that the experience is not really being damaged with less players, and I think that I actually prefer to play it in that way. Coming on number 7, that is Voidfall. Yes, you've heard correctly, Voidfall. That is surprisingly plays amazing in 2 players alone. I do think that at 3 or 4 players, the experience is absolutely amazing as well. But I think that at 2 players, this game maybe shouldn't have been as good as it is, but I do feel that actually going this head-to-head in this experience is actually pretty sweet. Voidfall, if you're not aware of it, is a 4X kind of a game, mostly a Euro game, but you have also some combat elements over there and a little bit exploration, but we're not going to go into that. That was created by Nigel Buckle and David Turczi. It's also a very good game. It's solo and really different player counts, but I think that for the experience, unless you have really a lot of time, like for a little bit more time even with the setup and the teardown, of course, because this is a big boy on the table, Voidfall is surprisingly good at 2 players. You should check that out as well. Coming on number 6, and that is the only cooperative game that you're going to have in this list, and that is Uprising Curse of the Last Emperor, that I have talked about a lot in this channel. This is a really wonderful 4X, true 4X game with an amazing table presence, and there are enough things to do over there for each player. The decision depth that you have over there is quite significant, so you really don't find yourself actually wanting to play 2 factions in this case. But I do think that this is an amazing game, and I think that if I already prefer to play it, is most likely will be probably solo, like a true solo, only 1 faction or 2 factions. More than that, it's going to be a little bit too much, and I think that 3 and 4 players is actually making this game take a lot of time. It's going to be a little bit more chaotic. I'm not saying that it's not a good experience. It's very cool, but I think that I found myself enjoying this game most at 2 players. Moving on to number 5, and that is a game that was already 2 years at my number 1, a choice of the best game of all time, and that is Trickerion. Trickerion is a worker placement, hidden action selection type of game. If you haven't heard of Trickerion, I don't know where have you been until now, but you should definitely check it out, especially right now. They're having their 10th anniversary kind of campaign that just finished. I think that the Pledge Manager is going to be open on GameFound, I think at the end of this month, so this is something that you should check out. This is your opportunity to get everything for Trickerion with a deluxe kind of a cool anniversary edition with a new expansion, of course. But I found myself like enjoying Trickerion really from all the player counts, 1 to 4. And surprisingly, I think that Trickerion is very good at 2, especially if you're adding the Duel of Magician mode that you can find in one of the expansions. And usually I feel that worker placement is not a very good game to play only at 2 players, but the mechanisms that you have over there in order to alternate the actually free spaces where you can place your workers are absolutely amazing. Trickerion, such a great game, highly thematic. If you're looking for a Euro game that is super thematic, Trickerion is the game for you. Moving on to number 4, and that is again a game that I've talked about a lot in this channel, and that is Company of Heroes. Now the thing is that usually I don't like playing so much team versus team. I mean, it's still great, it's a good experience, but I rather play this game actually 1 versus 1. That is the player count that I enjoy the most in this game. Although in the second edition, I'm really looking forward to explore the free-for-all modes and scenarios that are going to be there. So that is something that I'm very excited for. But it doesn't change the fact that Company of Heroes, with its table presence and how true it is to the original IP, is really an incredible game that I feel that you should check it out if you haven't done it already. a really good game of 1 versus 1 when you're just going to control one of the factions and your enemy is going to control another one, and you're just competing on getting the amount of victory points that you have chosen according to how long you would like to have your game. Moving on to number 3, and here I have to tell you that I a little bit cheated over here. I have 2 games. I hope that you'll understand why I did it, but also I feel that like top 11 games is not really such a good headliner over there for the YouTube video, but I have here 2 games. One of them is Cerebria, The Inside World, and the other one is Apex Legends. Yeah, completely 2 different games. One of them is actually sort of a war game, area control that is hidden under a very sweet piece of art, really cute, but actually it's really quite difficult and also really in your face. You're going to battle a lot on this game. That is of course a Cerebria, and the other one is more like Apex Legends, is more of a skirmish game when you're going to be dropped into the map, depends on the scenario that you have chosen, and you're going to battle each other basically using your special abilities. You're going to calculate the line of sight. For Apex Legends, I recently did a how to play for the normal mode and the solo, so feel free to check that out. Also have a review. For Cerebria, that is definitely a game that I would like to do a how to play, a good how to play for this game. I'm not saying that the other videos out there are not good, but I would just like to do my own version of this how to play. And I feel that even though you can play this game 2 versus 2, I'm guessing this is how both of them are meant to actually work. Like you have team versus team, and actually 3 versus 3 also is absolutely possible in both of them. You're just going to have, in the case of Apex Legends, more legends to control. But I feel that 1 versus 1, where each player is actually controlling 2 of these cute spirits, or actually 2 legends, that is, I think, really on the border of like being a little bit too much and actually being manageable. So I feel that both of them are great at 2 players just doing this head-to-head kind of game. Excellent experiences, both of them. Feel free to check them out. Coming on number 2, and you can understand already that the games are getting more and more difficult, at least what it was for me to learn the games, and that is of course no other than War of the Ring, the 2nd edition. Wow, this game is, in my opinion, the definition of an epic game. It just reveals the story of Middle-earth. Well, maybe not from the Silmarillion kind of episode. Here you're going to have 1 player controlling the dark forces of Sauron, Saruman, and of course the Easterlings, and you're going to have another player playing all the free people, if you have the dwarves, the elves, Gondor, and so on. So you're going to have this game. I'm not saying that it's super easy to bring it to the table. There are a lot of small rules, especially when the Fellowship enters Mordor, actually. And I'm not even talking about the 3 expansions that you have for this game. Maybe some of them are a little bit easier to table and to bring into your experience. Some of them are a little bit more complex. But in general, this is a really big boy to have over the table. Setup is going to take you a little bit of time. The gameplay itself, I think, can vary between... I want to say I never had a shorter game than 2.5 hours, can go all the way up to 5-6 hours, depends on the way that you're playing, I want to say, or how you're going to react to what your enemy is doing. But for me, this is maybe one of the first games that coming to mind when you're going to tell me a game for 2 players, especially a war game. An amazing experience. I cannot get enough of this game. Absolutely love it. And coming on number 1, the game that was the most difficult for me to learn is no other than PAX Renaissance, the 2nd edition. Now, maybe some of you are grabbing your head and telling you there is absolutely no way that PAX Renaissance took you more time to understand and learn, maybe than War of the Ring or Apex Legends, I don't know. So I feel that maybe it has something to do with the rulebook that I think was very poorly written. It took me, I'm not even sure how many times it took me to actually like read the rulebook, understand what's going on there, going to look for different videos that I think most of them are actually on TTS. And then I decided after it clicked and I understood how to play, I decided I'm going to do kind of a playthrough with explanations, what I do usually for explaining games. So I'm hoping that the outcome was quite good and people were able to bring this game a little bit in an easier way to the table. Now, PAX Renaissance is of course one of the PAX games that we have. That means that we're going to have a sort of a market of cards and we're going to acquire them and paying money according to their position on the market. And I do feel that I enjoy this game the most at 2 players. Even actually when it comes to solo, if I want to play this game alone, I actually prefer to play 2 players and just every time do what is best to that specific player. Because in any case, the hidden information that you have over there doesn't really exist, because in any case, all the players can see which cards you're going to buy. So I feel that even when I'm playing this game alone, I actually prefer not to do the normal solo mode of PAX Renaissance, but actually playing 2 hands this game. Now, of course, you can play this game at 3 and 4 players. I think it's a little bit too chaotic and maybe prolongs the playing time more than you would actually want to sit at the table and play this game. And for me, PAX Renaissance 2nd Edition is actually the best played at 2 players. And that is it, you guys. Feel free, please, to drop a comment and tell me what did you think about my choices for these games. If you have something to add, if you agree, disagree, feel free. Let's talk about it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care, and I'll see you next time.